Good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, depending on where you're based. Welcome to today's webinar on travel buyers in the age of COVID-19. With the outbreak of COVID-19 and its severe impact upon travel and tourism, travel buyers are surviving and adapting in the new normal. As travel agents, advisors, and counselors, they have a unique perspective of the current and future landscape of tourism. During today's webinar, we'll hear from three travel agents, consultants, and advisors to see what their perspective is on the current situation. Before we begin, let me first just introduce myself. My name is Paul Brancan. I am Director of Communications and External Affairs at the Pacific Asia Travel Association, and I will be the MC and moderator for today's webinar. Before we get to our panel discussion, I just wanted to go through just one quick note. For those of you who are unfamiliar with using Zoom, please do note that we will be taking questions during this webinar. So please do submit your questions using the Q&A function located at the bottom of your screen. As you can see, there is also a chat function. Please do not submit your questions using the chat function. Use the Q&A function. For the chat function, please feel free to introduce yourself, where you're from, how you're doing, and maybe, say hello to some of the other attendees that might be here. And with that, we're gonna jump right into our panel discussion today. So I'd like to introduce my fellow panelists with me this afternoon. First, let me introduce Mr. Simon Waldron. He's a travel consultant. He's been working with his wife, the owner of TravelServe, a small independent travel agent working from home for the past 5 years. He likes to champion the needs of small independent travel agents and has been fortunate enough to be invited to a number of forums to share the views and needs of their role in the sector. In addition, we have Ms. Karen Zhao. She's the product manager for North and Central Asia at Intrepid Group. She was first an operation manager at Intrepid Travel Beijing from 2011 to 2016 and started her current role in 2016. And last and certainly not least, we have Mr. Yoon. He's the founder and CEO of TideSquare based in Korea. Before finding TideSquare, he was an e-commerce strategy consultant at Samsung SDS, marketing manager at Korean Air, and senior marketing manager at Hyundai Card. Welcome, Simon, Karen, and Min. So let's just jump right into this. Let me stop sharing my screen here. And welcome, good afternoon. How are all you doing today?
Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. All right, so let's just jump into this. I've had a call with all of you, so you guys all have different perspectives. But in the current situation, we know that pretty much travel and tourism has just stopped. So how are each of you adapting to the current situation? Have you stopped your business? How have you adapted domestic tourism? I guess we'll start with Min. What's your current situation and how are you dealing with the current pandemic?
Okay, so here in Korea, it's pretty much same with all other world. So since March, there was no bookings anymore and no revenue for travel. But from April, it started control the COVID-19 here in Korea. So domestic hotel bookings demand is coming back. So we focus on domestic hotel sales and change our organization into domestic travel fit. So after that, the domestic hotel bookings are more than doubled compared to last year. And government is also trying to stimulate those demands. So it launched promotion coupon programs and such as all that kind of promotions for domestic accommodation. Although it lasts only a few days because there comes a new spike after the program launching. Anyway, it seems it works really well. So for those days, we saw that the domestic hotel bookings were tripled and quadrupled compared to last year. So which means that anyway, we have a demand for travelers. So definitely people want to travel whenever they have chances to go.
And then, I think you mentioned that domestic travel, but the government subsidized like some of this domestic travel for booking through an agent. Is that correct?
That is true. That is true.
What was the percentage for that subsidy?
Okay, so government gave about $30 coupon per bookings, which means it's not only the percentage, but wherever people booking, they have a $30 or $40 subsidy from the government.
And how did that encourage sort of travel agents, like people to book with travel agents as opposed to booking on their own?
Yeah, so mostly it comes through the online. So when travelers download the coupon from the online site, and then they go to dozens of travel agencies, which is designated so that they can redeem those coupons through the online.
Okay, all right. And then if we'll move over to China, Karen. So what about how's everything at Intrepid? I mean, what are you guys doing now? Are you focusing on domestic as well, or just taking a break now?
Yeah, I guess we are kind of on a semi-break at the moment. Intrepid has been in stand down starting April when the COVID is really kind of spreading to almost every corner of the world. So most of the company is still in stand down at the moment, but we are working on a few different projects at the moment. In terms of our product offering, we did have to scale back our product offering, our product range for 2021 to focus on our core product in different destinations that we travel to. And at the same time, we have been looking at how to expand into new markets as well, given that in some countries or in some regions, the situation is getting better. That is domestic travel or regional travel that we are looking at the moment. And also in terms of marketing, we're still very much keeping our customers engaged through our social media or through our newsletter to let them know what we're doing, and also trying to offer some virtual tours or virtual product as well to keep our customers engaged. And at the same time, we are also taking actions to plan for the future to say how we can adapt to the new normalcy we'll probably go back to in a way after COVID. Yeah.
Right. And Simon, in the UK, what's it like for you? I mean, have you guys? You're a small independent, so it's a bit different from, I guess, Intrepid. Have you just shut down then for the year, or are you doing European travel?
Unfortunately, we've had to sort of take the decision to shut down for the rest of the year, purely because looking at what's going on, certainly within the UK, it's so unknown. It changes from one day to the next, and a lot of our colleagues, particularly small independent travel agents, have had massive costs in trying to rearrange people's holidays due to the quarantine periods, due to sort of lockdowns in different countries. It's very difficult to plan. And I think there's been quite a move from those people who desperately want to get away, and it's now definitely all short haul, not long haul. They just want to get away for a break, and they think they can get a better deal online. But unfortunately, a lot of people are getting stranded in countries or having to cut their holidays short because we've introduced quarantines for returns. So it's such an uncertain market. And I say it's cost businesses a lot of money in rearranging. And often if we have arranged a holiday through another supplier, if we've got paid a commission and the client then wants to cancel it, they then take the commission back from us. So we're working to sort of try and sort people's holidays out and not actually getting paid for it. So it's very cutthroat. And we've seen obviously a lot of companies going out of business. We've seen more people who are trying to set up as independent travel agents if they have been made redundant from the big companies. But again, it's a lot smaller market, and there's just so much uncertainty, which makes it difficult to plan how to go forward for the future and how to deal with inquiries at the moment. But we're certainly saying to our clients, you know, it's not worth the risk. It's just so uncertain that it's not worth taking the risk to go away at the moment, because you just don't know whether you're going to be able to come back. With regards to the lockdown and coming back for quarantine, I think a lot more people are now working from home, even though the government is trying to get people to go back to their offices. But they enjoy working from home, so if they do have to come back in quarantine, it's not so difficult to do so. But it's a completely different world now.
Well, you know, you brought up 2 points, and I want to sort of go into now. I mean, you talk about some of the challenges. I mean, because Europe is open. I guess it's if we're talking about travel bubbles, it's like the travel bubble now, right? So, I mean, what are the challenges that you're seeing now? That you said there's the quarantine. I mean, there's the standardization is an issue, right? Different destinations have different policies, different quarantine measures. That's a challenge that, you know, as you guys plan. What other challenges are you seeing in Europe that I guess destinations in Asia should be aware of if there's going to be reopening?
Yeah, so it is really.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was going to start with Simon first, but if you want to jump in, Min.
No, it's. I think the biggest problem in the UK is this lack of standardisation, and even within the UK, you know, within the different countries, with Wales, with Scotland, with Northern Ireland, they're all making up their own rules. So we've got people who are quarantined if they come back from Greece, if they go to fly into the UK. If they fly into Wales, they don't have to quarantine. So people are now making it up as they go along, and they will fly into a different country and then drive back in. It's just such a farce. And that again makes it so much more difficult.
So, and Min, what were we about to say, Min?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that it is really all the different measures are measured in the different situation in different destinations. So we need to adopt those different measures. Yeah, that's what I want to say just.
Yeah, because if you're doing different destinations, like if you have clients from Thailand or Korea and then to Thailand or Vietnam, or trying to take them through several countries, that's going to be really challenging as you get to as you're trying to deal with that. So then, what kind of from Karen or what kind of body then would you then is there should be like the world body then that sort of puts that all together, or how would you sort of deal with that?
I guess it's really difficult for us to reach to a unified standards, especially when we look at global operations. So what we are doing at Intrepid at the moment is we sort of set our own minimum standards for reopening operations. Europe was hopeful, really hopeful a few weeks ago when they were setting up these travel corridors. And then that changed very fast. So we sort of say to ourselves, we need to look at some minimum standards where it's feasible for us to put in place. And it's, looking at it from customers' perspective as well, whether it'll be easy for them to, or whether it's easy for them to build the confidence in us operating those trips. But certainly from, getting in and out of a country and travel within a destination, whether it's COVID safe, in a way, because even if you can get into a country and get out of it, within that country, the standards could be quite different in terms of what the hotel should be doing, what tour operators should be doing, what sightseeing management should be doing to keep the social distance, or whether you need to wear masks, or whether you should be taking tests. These are all very different standards from different destinations. I don't think there's a unified body that we can reach to, but certainly if there's someone who can unite all of these organizations and government offices to set up standards, that'll be a lot easier for us.
But then I guess this leads to another point that I wanted to get back to that Simon had mentioned. You know, there's been talk that with COVID that people will start using travel agents more, travel advisors more, because you know, you mentioned about the refunds and stuff, but then also travel agents would then also give that advice about the minimum standards if they're traveling, the policies and that. Would you also agree in that regard? Any guys can answer that, but would you guys agree is that, yes, travel agents then have a better case for tour companies and travel agents have that better case of saying, hey, use us, don't do it by yourself, because we know what it's like to get to Thailand or Korea or Vietnam or Malaysia, and do the travel agents, tour companies need to do a better job of marketing that out to consumers? Simon?
Min? I think that, again, sorry, within the UK, that the government has done nothing to help and support the travel industry, and it was interesting to hear from Min of the scheme that you got there. Because the travel agents have been canvassing the big bodies like ABTA to say to the government, you know, we need help, because we are probably as confused as a lot of our clients. So we get posts on Facebook about, you know, the changing rules for tests and where can you get private tests done. So we need, and we've made a plea to the UK government to say, please recognise the travel industry, the airline industry needs your support. Yeah, we've had support in the leisure industry. We've had a scheme over here for restaurants in the whole of August, where the government would pick up 50% of the bill if you went out for a meal, just to get people to go out to restaurants. But there's been no support for the travel agency or to help travel agents with things like that. So if you haven't got, if you can't get support within your country and standardization within your country, how can you expect the rest of the world to come up with a system of standardization as well?
Min?
Yeah, so I agree, all of you, and definitely we need that kind of standardized unified standard as well. So actually, a couple of days ago, I was trying to fly to Singapore because since September 4th, Singapore and Korean government agreed the travel sort of a green lane or corridors for business travelers. So Singapore government accept me, but here in Korea, it's not easy for me to approve her for 14 days quarantine. So it's supposed to be lifting the both way 14 days quarantine, but each country has a different standard. So even as a traveler working in travel agency, it's not easy to get to have all those information. So yeah, I definitely agree that people will need more travel agency than before for during those COVID-19 era.
Yeah, and especially supporting you guys is important because it said you guys will be the trusted advisors for the consumers, right?
Sure.
Make sure, because I mean, they have no answers now, right? I mean, you don't, like as you said, like, you know, if Min doesn't know how to get, if he can't go to Singapore, and then how's the client going to be like, oh, I want to go to Singapore too? He doesn't have he doesn't know the answer. It doesn't fare well for the industry moving forward. Did you want to add anything to that, Karen, or?
Yeah, and I was just going to say to your point that this is where I think as tour companies or travel agents, this is where we can really help build the confidence in our customers by providing that service, being that agent between the hotels, the embassies, the transport company, or the airlines, and our customers. Because when we kind of think back to when we just had to stop operating our trips and have to evacuate our customers the best we can from all various different destinations in the world, I would consider our customers lucky to have us arranging all the logistics or helping them communicating with all the destination government and helping them contacting their insurance companies or embassies this is a service that as tour operators or tour companies that we should provide to our customers and build that confidence in our customers as well. And this is potentially a opportunity for us in the post-COVID world.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see that. I mean, if I was going to travel, a travel agent or a tour company would be the first thing I'd reach out to, because yes, there's information is lacking or it's too spread out thin. Let's go to this idea of customers that you had mentioned. I mean, you guys have a unique perspective because you guys have a base of customers. I mean, what are your customers saying about sort of travel? I know there's a pent-up demand for travel, but are they planning to change their travel behaviors moving forward, or is it going to be more of just travel opens up, it's going to be the same old? What are you hearing from your customers? I guess we'll start from Min, and then we'll go back to Karen and Simon. So Min, what are you hearing from your customers?
Yeah, so actually, so far, I cannot see that they will be changed forever. I mean, in their behavior before or after COVID. Of course, during those COVID era, probably they are more careful and they need more protection from the virus. So probably there's a possibility that the group tours would be a bit difficult. I mean, large group tours would be more difficult to gather the customers. But but people, like I said, people still wants to go to travel, and they need more. They just want more travel right now. So sometimes they just want to go to travel, so they book the hotel right next door of their home for feeling they are in travel. So that really happens in right now. Mm-hmm. But still, I believe the travel will not change forever. Mm-hmm. I mean, travel is there.
Okay, Karen, what's any new perspectives, or you kind of agree with Mr. Min over here?
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with Min that there's a need for travel. But Intrepid is already a small group tour operator. So we believe that, given the COVID experience, small group tours will be more popular than before. And also at the same time, we definitely are seeing the need for active travel in terms of hiking, walking trips or cycling trips, family trips as well. And also center-based travel or slow travel will be another trend that we kind of anticipate to take off after COVID, or maybe not for a long time, but in a short period of time. And the need for short-haul center-based travel is definitely a trend that we're seeing. Yeah.
Would it be like less like tourism hotspots then? I mean, we're talking about like sort of more off the beaten path destinations or off attractions. Is that what you're kind of getting towards as well then? In the short term, like will people avoid that city? Yeah.
Yeah. More nature is the general big trend that we're seeing. And the way to experience nature, either through cycling or through hiking, or you are based in one city, but you can stay in the same, say, hotel or Airbnb for 4 or 5 days and go off in different directions to explore. Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be popular. Yeah.
And Simon, what about you? What are you hearing from your customers in the UK? or even friends or families about travel? Their behaviors changing, or same old, same old?
I think it's going to be the same old, same old. Everyone's still thinking at the moment this is going to be relatively short term. We know and we hear from the airlines that it's going to probably take 3 years for them to recover, but the demand is still there. We're still seeing the suppliers trying to tempt people out. I don't know if Karen, I don't know if the Intrepid is the same Intrepid we work with here, but I know Intrepid have been very dynamic in taking the opportunity to say to the agents, come and experience it yourself, come and now. Because as you said, unless we have got the knowledge to share, it makes it so much easier for us to sell if we've experienced these tours. And I think people are looking for smaller tours as well, but it is, at the end of the day, people are still want to go to their old favourites, and a lot of them are limited at the moment, and they're just longing for next year, the year after, when hopefully we can get some normality back and people will go back to the places they've always wanted to go. But I don't see any major changes other than what's driven by lack of access through airlines and things like that.
Yeah, I think, and you guys all mentioned this before, this idea of small group tours. I think in my conversation with Mr. Min, it was funny because before I had my call with Mr. Min, people were saying that FITs would be the first to recover, that group travel would come later or even last. But then Mr. Min was like, oh no, it'll probably be small group travel first because of certain reasons. So you want to talk about that, Mr. Min, about why you think small group travel would be first?
Yeah, so definitely FIT will be there, but there might be a chance that small group travel can be first because during COVID-19 era, people want more control probably. And also government would like to control where our people goes visit and where they should not visit, something like that. So probably in that sense, those kind of small group tour would come first.
Yeah. I was talking to a convention bureau earlier today. They kind of agree with me too. They were saying that the Phuket model that they proposed, but it's been shelved, was sort of in line with that, where you'd have that small group travel, but you'd be able to control. They go from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the attraction or activity, and then be able to control that and sort of like contact tracing. I mean, what Simon or Karen, would you kind of agree in that regard as well? Like that it could be possible of having those small group tours if borders were open, but then be able to control that group as you're going through a destination? Karen?
Yeah. I think if we're talking about initial recovery, definitely. I think we have a tour starting soon in UK, and the government just made a rule that no more than 6 people can gather together in an indoor space. So that's a very small group, and we had to change our maximum number on that tour to fit into that. So I think if we're talking about initial recovery, in a more controllable scale, definitely small tours. But also in the long term, I think small tours is more beneficial to the community and healthier in a way as well. Because it'll give you access to more off the beaten track destinations too, because certain destinations are not really built for mass tourism or coach tours. So I think for small group trips, it's a more sustainable model to operate in a post-COVID environment.
Simon, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there is going to be a growing demand for small groups. And again, within the UK, we have one company who's Saga, who deal with the older clients. And they always say that their tours are always small group. And having been on one, they're much better because as a small group, you can get to places in a minibus that you can't get to in a bus. As a smaller group, you tend to talk more with people. And as you say, it is easier to plan and to make sure it's all controlled. So small group, I think, is going to grow. But I think, certainly from our point of view, FIT is still going to be our main bread and butter. And it's just looking at ways we can respond to change programs to support that.
Okay. All right. Then I guess we're going. I just want to remind all the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A function. Please do send in your questions. We're here to answer them all. I think I mentioned to our speakers that there's no one has the right answers now, so we're here to help share knowledge and experience about what's going on in the industry. So ask away. So let's get to probably one question that a lot of people are asking is, what are your plans for the future? I mean, what are you looking, or how are you planning for the future? Are you looking at Q2, Q3, and how are you planning for that? I guess start again from the top. We'll go to Min again. So what's your plans? I know you're joining us in next week for our PTM. So what are your plans? What are you looking for? And like, is it pertaining to small group travel? Yeah, let us know.
Okay, so to be honest, we don't really forecast the market right now since March because it's very unpredictable. So we are just trying to fit the market. So what situation is right now and what demand is over there. So and we are tracing. So we make our organization more agile so that we can move more in speedy way to follow the market. Anyway, still we have to at least forecast. So we believe that probably the travel market will coming a little from next year. Probably start with travel bubble or travel corridor, like we said. So and also we forecast that small group travel probably will be allowed by government at the first time. So we are now preparing, and like Karen said, it will be more nature, and like Simon said, it will be more short-term travel. So we will focus on short-term, more nature, small group tours for early next year.
But then I guess, resorts would also be part of that package as well. Like if you're looking for like maybe small groups at a resort, would that be something also that you're looking at?
Right, that is true. That is true.
Okay. And Karen, what about what's Intrepid's? I know there's no solid plan, but what are they looking at over the next 6 months or 3 months?
Yeah, at the moment we're really focusing on grow our domestic travel. So products within Australia, within UK and Europe at a bigger scale, and North America, probably initially Canada. So this is really what we are focusing on at the moment. And also we are trying to build some more capacities for FIT travel as well. As Simon mentioned, FIT will be a big player in the tourism market in the post-COVID environment as well, because it's flexible, it's personal, it's more adaptable as well. We're also looking at to work with our operators in different destinations on the post-COVID travel standards and how we can provide our customers a safe, secure environment and way of traveling in a destination too.
Simon, and your plans for, once you guys awaken, once you start the business, or you're just gonna look to wait and see at that point?
It's still very much feeling the way as to how the market is going to change. But the only opportunity we have been given by this break that we're taking is to investigate and talk to some of the suppliers we've met in the past to look at new destinations that we can explore and also new opportunities that we think might be a benefit to our clients. But again, it's trying to guess all the time how quickly things are going to change. The feedback we get from at the moment of anyone who has taken a long haul flight is it's not comfortable having to sit with a face mask and in some cases with a visor for the whole flight. So it's looking at possibly when things are going to change. But yeah, it's looking at a lot more opportunities as to what could be there for the future and what markets are there.
So just looking at the whole sort of array of suppliers out there, just trying to get an idea of just what products are out there, what's available, and then being able to package that later. Yeah,
and I think with the number of online events that have been, and with the patent trademark coming up as well, usually after the event you come away with so many new contacts that you'd like to follow up, but business doesn't allow you to, because you've got to, particularly for a small organisation like us, you've got to focus on serving your customers first and don't always make contact. I think this couple of months has given us the opportunity to research more and to talk to more people and set up more opportunities for the future.
But as Karen, you have a different aspect, right? You're going to stay loyal to your current suppliers, right? You're not really looking at anything else. Which, I mean, because I mean, it's great. I think it's important, because you had mentioned that it's affected everybody, so it's really important for Intrepid to stick by their loyal suppliers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think at least with our current product offering, as long as we are confident that our operators can meet the post-COVID standards, we'd like to be able to support them as well, because everybody is suffering. We are suffering, they are certainly suffering too, having no trip operations, and their leaders, the communities that they've established, the relationships are also suffering. So, I would like to be able to stand by them and help them recover as we recover in a post-COVID environment to start with. But of course, we're also looking at expanding our product ranges by, developing more active itineraries, cycling itineraries. Not everybody can operate everything. So I would say that would be the new opportunities out there for tour operators in destinations. Yeah.
We're getting a bunch of questions, so I'd like to try to answer as many questions as possible. So let's go jump into the Q&A here. I think we've talked a little bit about FIT, so I'll jump to the first question that we got here. Your thoughts on the emergence of customized travel and the rise of Gen Z travelers. I'll go to Min. If you want to start off on answering that question, or anybody else have any thoughts on that question? The emergence of customized travel, your thoughts on the emergence of customized travel and the rise of Gen Z travelers. Yeah,
definitely. The customized travel will be the key trend, and currently, yeah, there's always customized travel. But what I like to say is probably those customized travel would be online. So the emergence of tours and activities aggregators like Klook or Get Your Guide, those aggregators can make the travel more customized, and finally, probably there's a possibility that they can make kind of a dynamic packaging through the online. So definitely that will be a trend, I guess.
I guess Karen and Simon, you guys both agree?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump on to the next question here. It is now on having implementing contactless procedures. There are some hoteliers feel the human-to-human interaction is still important when people travel. What are your comments on having contactless service? Karen? Contactless service, so no human-to-human transaction. What's your thoughts? I'll start with Karen.
It's a really good one, and it's a really difficult one, I think, too. Because with all the social distancing and in lockdown or quarantine, I think people would want some more human contact in a way, as long as they feel safe. So I think for hotels, being able to set up the appropriate standards build that confidence in their customers that you are doing the right work to keep the hotel safe and clean. And personalized services would still be really important to the customers. But at the same time, people want all sorts of different things. There will be people who would prefer contactless procedures, contactless check-ins, contactless housekeeping. So I think for hotels, they need to see what are their strengths and whether they want to strengthen that advantage. Because I think there's no definite answer to that one. Yeah.
Simon, I saw you smile. What's your comments on that?
Is it another opportunity for hotels to cut their costs? Because I mean, a lot of the big hotel chains have already gone down the road of having an app where you walk in, you check in automatically, you then use your phone as your door key for your room. Again, it's a way to reduce staff, but a lot of people, particularly our clients, if you're looking at sort of tailor-made FIT, you want the service. It's the customer service and the human thing, to have a smiling face greet you at reception and welcome you. It can't be beaten, and that's what a lot of people want. So there are opportunities for the technology to be used and brought in more. I mean, I've been to some resorts where you can order a buggy or whatever from an app on your phone, which again helps to cut down costs and improve service. But at the end of the day, part of a holiday experience for me, certainly, and a lot of our clients, is that human touch, is that level of service. And contactless, we're being driven that way, and it has its advantages, but you still can't beat the human touch.
Well,
and also,
Karen, go. Yeah.
So I was going to say also just how sustainable that is as well, and also how much they rely on repeat customers. Because from my own perspective, it's cool to have a robot check you in, have a robot clean your room, and so on. But do I want to do that again? Whether it's a one-off experience for me, I think that's questionable, and that's probably not the most sustainable way either.
Yeah, especially if you want return customers, right? And that human interaction really helps attract people to come back to your hotel or your destination. Min smiling there. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I also agree that hygiene factor and cost accounting factor, definitely contact-based services is good for hotels and some people who really cares about hygiene. And also I agree that there's some people who doesn't want human touch services. So for example, here in Korea, it's a kind of a paradise of delivery service. So before we can just making a call and we can order whatever we want, chickens, pizzas, whatever. But when the delivery servicing apps like Uber Eats or that delivery heroes come to the market, people thought that probably we can just still making a phone call, not just a contact list. But that contact list service is huge right now. So it seems like no one wants to call anymore. So definitely there's some people who doesn't want human services. So I vote for that.
All right. Okay. Let's jump to the next question here. Well, I guess from your perspective, are you satisfied with how airlines and hotels have handled the refund subject? For this gentleman, it took them 3 months to get the refunds, and several airlines haven't provided refunds. I mean, has that been a problem from your end? I guess some you had mentioned it is. I mean, do airlines, hotels do a better job of handling that particular subject? Simon?
Undoubtedly, yes. And again, I mean, you have to look at it from a business point of view. And certainly over here, they are, if they cancel flights, they are legally bound to refund the money. There's no question about that. That's what the law states. And a number of airlines have turned around and issued vouchers because obviously they need to keep the money in the business. But at the end of the day, the customers want their money back. So a lot of people have spent a lot of time trying to get their money back. And a lot of travel agents have spent their time trying to do exactly the same. But a lot of the time, it's done through an online system. You can't talk to anyone because all the call centres are flooded with calls. So it has been a major problem of people getting their money back. And the same with those businesses that have gone out of operation. We had a cruise booked and the company has now gone into liquidation. And so it's now that the credit card companies who are also having to pick up the bill for refunds as well. So it's having a massive economic effect on the marketplace.
Karen or Min, do you guys want to, I guess you guys both agreed. I saw you guys both nodding your heads on that regard.
Yeah, I can't personally comment too much on this because I didn't really have to handle that myself. I had a flight booked, but it's I guess it's destination based as well. My flight was cancelled and the refund was in immediately, but it's different platform from you guys, I think. So I can't really comment on the general. Yeah.
I think the long haul companies have been a lot better and a lot faster at responding and telling customers how they are changing things, what measures they're putting in place to make flights safer. And I know a number of companies are now waiving all change fees and allowing you to modify your flights free of charge for the next 6 months. So long haul is trying to make it better for the customers. The short haul, which are obviously operating on tighter budgets, just want to keep your money.
But then, I mean, I understand on the airlines or hotels aspect, it's the cash flow, right? They need the cash to keep their company running. But then, and if they can't give that cash, would then something like, yes, having those exemption of fees be more feasible, right? Saying, okay, well, we will give you, you can change your flight anytime. We'll waive any of the fees. You can use your flight later on, or that's still just that's not gonna make people happy. They want their money back. Simon?
I think people have been caught because they've tried to change their flight. I mean, with our cruise, we changed the date from this year because it was in the middle of COVID to next year. People are offering or changing their holiday packages and with the flights, and then when they come to go, the rules have changed and find they have to go into quarantine. So you can constantly be trying to change, or they are spending an awful lot of money having to change their flights back when they're out there just to get back, not to have to quarantine. Hotels, we found, if we have got direct contact with the hotels, they have been very good. But again, if you book through one of the big booking agencies, it's a lot harder to get your money back.
You wanted to add anything to that, Min, or should I go to the next question?
I'm not satisfied. That's all.
All right. Well, the next question is, how safe is it to travel now? Depends on where you want to go. But the second part of the question is, what are travel operators doing to ensure safety of customers against the pandemic? Karen, jump to you.
It really varies between destinations, I would say. In China, I would say it's very safe to travel now. But in other destinations, I think the answer would vary greatly. But in terms of what the travel operators can do is to really improve the service standard in terms of hygiene and following the local protocols. I think the World Travel and Tourism Council has issued a series of suggestions for hotels, for transport companies, for sightseeing or just general hygiene, what the tour operators should be doing as a guideline. So I would suggest travel operators to check that. What are some of the standards that has been suggested, and try to match up. And also following the local protocols is really important as well.
Well, I should go back to I mean, you're based in China. No, I know China's domestic China pretty much has resumed back to normalcy. Even the numbers are looking great for China. I mean, do you know what some of the protocols they're doing? Have they changed protocols in hotels and tour operators and activities? Do you know if any that has changed, or is it still just like back to normal and same old, same old?
In a way, it's same old.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think customers will be more selective in where they go to, who they go to, which hotel they stay with. They will be choosing the more reputable ones. Yeah.
Right. So back to that original question, Min or Simon, did you want to add in that? How can they ensure safety how can travel operators ensure safety of customers?
I think certainly a lot of the companies, they're all vying to show how safe they are. I say the airlines have been pretty dynamic. Hotel chains over here and hotels around the world, we've seen sending us briefings about what they have done, how they've changed. The saddest thing of all is that if you come into the UK, there are no checks done whatsoever. And we were actually in Thailand and Malaysia when the pandemic broke. And we were so impressed that instantly we were checked going through the airports, at the hotels. It was all done instantly. And we came back to London, no checks at all. And we're 6 months into this, and there are still no checks being done at the airports about people coming in to the UK to see whether they've got COVID or not. So again, it's down to how your government is responding to it as well. It's no good saying all your hotels and transport systems are safe if you're letting everybody into the country without checking them first.
Min?
So here in Korea, every single student, before they go to the school, they have a small mobile application to track, to diagnose themselves. So now we are trying to make that kind of small mobile apps for our travelers so that they can diagnose themselves to check before they go travel. So I think that's not a total solution, but it can be a small solution that we can do as a travel agency.
I mean, I'm going to the idea. I mean, this is not a question here, but this is for my question. I mean, this idea of like contact tracing or download apps, from your perspective, I mean, would customers though be happy about that? I mean, you have these ideas of like, you know, data privacy and they know all that. And what's, you know, each of you guys have their perspective on that. So I mean, would customers be happy about that? Like, oh, I need to download this app, and but then it's like they know where I am and they know my information. I mean, Min?
Yeah. So in that case, it's really a trade-off. So trade between your privacy versus your safety. So here in Korea, a lot of Koreans are doing trade for their safety right now. So of course, there are some people who doesn't want and they need more privacy, of course. So if you really believe so, you don't have to go to travel.
Yeah, it's out of necessity as well. In China, we have this app and this QR code that we use. We sort of check into different places that we go to show that we've been in this place. But if you don't use it, you almost can't really go anywhere in China. So it's out of necessity in a way. Yeah.
It's like I think Skip would always say like, travel is a privilege, right? So if you want to take advantage of that privilege, you need to then. Simon, your thoughts from a European perspective? What about?
Again, it's different in every country, but it was only yesterday that it was made a law that anyone going to a restaurant, all restaurants, and now have to have a QR code displayed. And you are supposed to scan the code and track and trace. but we had the discussions about information security and what have you. And I don't think people realize how much data is known. Every time you use an ATM, I use Google on my phone constantly, and I know they are taking my data. But it is, you know, if at the end of the day it's going to save people's lives, what's more important? You know, selling your data or saving your life? And for me, every time it's save your life. The data is going to get out to people anyway. So,
Oh yeah. Oh,
let's be sensible.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there was always a comment about Thailand, like, oh, we have to download this app or scan a QR code. They have my data, and I want to tell somebody, like, if you need a SIM card in Thailand, you need to provide your ID to the government anyway to get a SIM card. So they already have your data if you have a mobile phone, right? So yeah, it's true. Let's go to the next question here. Are there any apparent changes in business travel trends post-COVID?
We're not involved that much in business travel, but I think if you look at, I don't know what the share price is of Zoom now, but if you look at the move to Zoom, to Hangouts, to Microsoft, this video market has taken over and has shown how much value there is and how much it can save businesses. And a lot of businesses are now reviewing whether to actually reopen their offices. You know, do you need an office? If you've got a happy workforce at home and you can do the job, productivity is actually going up. So business travel, yes, has been hit a lot. And again, from feedback from our clients of business travel, you're not getting business service anymore. At Gatwick Airport in London, they're only flying out of one terminal, and that terminal doesn't have a business lounge. So you pay for your business class ticket, you get no extra service at the airport. On the plane, you get plastic knives and forks and a cold sandwich. What are you paying all that money for? So business travel, I think, has taken a big hit. And if we can do it online, then that's the way they're going to do it.
Yeah. It was because most of you guys are travel consultants, travel agent, a tour company. I left corporate travel out of this because that's a whole another separate discussion for another day. So we'll jump to the next question here. I guess for Karen and Min in particular. I mean, what are your thoughts about MICE groups in 2021 in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, we don't do a lot of MICE groups at Intrepid, so I can't really answer that.
Min, I guess not as well.
So we do MICE groups, but definitely before the vaccine or cure, it's definitely not easy because companies are very afraid of their, the people's infection. So not easy.
Like it's the insurance, right? The insurance would be the one thing that holds that back a bit.
Right.
So then I'll jump to this other question then. Will clients then be open to pay additional fees, minimal, for hotels to include medical or accident insurance when they stay at the properties? So let's see. So would clients be open to pay additional fees to the hotels to include medical or accident insurance if they stay at a property?
I think if you're going as part of a package, or even if you book it yourself, I think all sensible people these days are going to have travel insurance, and I know a lot of the travel insurance is being changed to include COVID. And one of the holiday companies over here has sent a survey out last week saying, what do you want us to include in a COVID policy? Do you want us to include loss of wages if you come back and have to isolate for 14 days? Do you want to include hospital costs whilst you're away? So the suppliers are looking at changing the insurance as to what the cost of that will be. But I don't think it's down to individual properties. It's down to the customer to make sure, as whenever they go on holiday, that they have got sufficient insurance to cover what their possible needs might be.
And I guess moving forward, destinations will probably require insurance if you're traveling. Well, maybe in the short term, right? I mean, I assume that most destinations will say, "Oh, you want to come to Thailand? Well, you need to prove you have insurance because you can't the government can't shoulder your cost of your quarantine.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we only have time for a couple more questions. So I'll jump to this one. In light of all the safety standards for hotels and airlines, I guess the first part of this question, I'll add to this is, will travel packages cost more as you look towards the future post-COVID? And then will people take that in consideration if they want to travel? So do you think what you're offering to consumers in the future will cost more because you'll have to shoulder more costs, as hotels will have to pay for more, things in their hotels? Or do you think it'll probably just be minimal in terms of slight increases, or there might be no increases? Min?
I'm not sure that everyone wants to do that, but I can say that probably that kind of product will be the first one which the people accept. So I can say that that kind of product will be sold the first. So the customers, the customers who want that kind of travel comes to market first. That's what I can say.
Simon or Karen, you wanted to add anything else? Or?
At the end of the day, everyone's trying to run a business, and at the moment, hotels, industries are trying to get people traveling again at whatever cost. But obviously down the line, they're going to have to review their budgets, and yes, it's going to cost more.
But in the short term, I assume then people will attract people then lowering the prices, but then medium to long term, then they'll adjust in the long term as we get back to
I think
normal.
long term they've got to, because if they're going to survive as a business, they've got to cover all their costs.
Okay. All right, well, we're running a bit out of time here, so thank you guys so much. I'll let you guys each leave with one final word before we go. So we'll start around the horn. Simon, any last thoughts to leave everyone here before we go?
No, I just thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope people have found it useful for us to share our ideas, and I can't wait to get back to Asia and visit you all.
All right. Karen?
Yeah, also thanks for the opportunity, and it's great to be able to speak to everybody in this way, and hopefully one day we'll see each other face to face and discuss more.
All right. Min, last word.
Yeah, finally travel will be back.
Well, hopefully sooner than later. But I believe, Min, you'll be joining our virtual PTM next week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Simon, are you joining?
I was hoping to, but I've just had a phone call saying I probably won't be. So, but I'll try and get in when I can.
Well, if any of our attendees want to ask any more questions, of course, Simon and Min will be at virtual PTM. I'll give you more information in just a few minutes. So thank you so much, Simon, Karen, and Min. This was a very interesting session. I myself learned a little bit more, and it's always important to sort of grow your knowledge every day. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Take care.
Have a lovely day.
You too. So, as we just end this off here, just wanted to thank our speakers once again for joining us, Min, Simon, and Karen from all around the world. They're very generous of them to spend some time with us and provide that insights. Just want to leave you with one last thing. I did mention about our virtual PTM. That is next week, from the 23rd to the 27th. You still have time to register. You can register either as a seller, buyer, or trade visitor. Very easy to find out more information. Just go to www.pada.org. I think it's in the chat. So my colleague here has put it in the chat. Sorry if we couldn't get to all the questions. There's a couple questions we didn't get to. But if you have any other questions about today's webinar or about our other webinars in the future, feel free to email me. Again, my name is Paul Brangan. My email is paul@pada.org. And any other information you want to find about Pada, please just check out our website. And with that, thank you everyone for joining us, and I will see you hopefully soon. Take care. Bye.